Let me tell you how big a loss can be for using incorrect grammar. It costs $2 million for a company just because a comma was placed wrongly in an agreement between two companies. These concepts might sound familiar to you. Simple present, simple past, active voice, passive voice, gerunds, noun, verb, adjective, and so on. While learning English, you heard these ideas in classrooms. For some, it was an arduous task sitting in the classrooms and listening to them for hours. You might have dozed off in the classroom too. For others, these concepts were guiding frameworks to make thousands of sentences. They learned the concept and created innumerable sentences out of it. One school argues that it is necessary to learn grammar, and the other one opines that it's not at all necessary to learn grammar to be a fluent speaker. They say you can learn a language without understanding grammar. Well, today we are going to look at both these views. Understand the positives and negatives of both. I'm going to tell you what suits you the best. At the end of the video, I'll tell you my take on this as a language expert. People or language experts who argue that grammar is necessary say that when you start learning English, you will have basic knowledge of word order. There are certain rules of subject-verb agreement. For example, we must use a verb to describe routine or facts after I, you, we, they, but verb plus s when you refer to pronoun he, she, it. Like for example, I play, you teach us, they work, we dance, but he cooks, she drives, it works with an s at the end of the verb. Similarly, we use simple past to describe past events or action. We use the past form of the verb like played, walked, visited, danced, but we have a concept of irregular verbs, which means you cannot add ed to all verbs. Buy becomes bought, sing, sang, drive, drove. If you study grammar, you will know that you will have to memorize all these irregular verbs. There is no other way. Similarly, you understand short forms and it will be easier for you to understand when English speakers speak. For example, does plus not becomes doesn't. Can plus not can't. Will plus not won't. There is a clear explanation when speakers use ain't. Do you want to know when to use ain't? You may watch this video. I have tried to explain how to use it with other famous informal short forms. So their main argument is that by knowing grammar and its rules, you can create hundreds or thousands of structures in language. This school also argues that incorrect grammar can also cause you to make poor first impression. People tend to make assumptions about a person's abilities based on how they come across in communication. If you're a job seeker with grammatical errors in your resume, a recruiter may see you as less capable than a candidate with similar skills and a mistake-free resume. If there are grammatical errors in a company's marketing materials, potential customers may see these mistakes as an indication that the company is sloppy or simply unreliable. Let me tell you how big a loss can be for using incorrect grammar. It costs $2 million for a company just because a comma was placed wrongly in an agreement between two companies. You may pause the video and read the full report. A recent study showed these benefits of having an error-free website. Here's what a famous American writer, B.J. Chute, has to say about grammar. I quote, "Grammar is to a writer what anatomy is to a sculptor or the scales to a musician. You may loathe it, it may bore you, but nothing will replace it. And once mastered, it will support you like a rock." On the other hand, the other school feels that it's boring to learn all the grammar concepts. It's pretty similar to math, and we all know how many of us hated math. Only a few people are passionate about learning grammar. It's not a cup of everyone's tea. In addition, there are so many exceptions to grammar rules. This is what makes learners confused. After learning a concept, the teacher says, except. For example, when you can make past of play as played, work as worked, why not the past of go is goed, buy is bite? And how come the past tense of dream is dreamed or dreamt? Why can't there be uniformity in rules? Why is there an exception for all the rules of grammar? Here's what a French writer has to say, I quote, "Life is like grammar. There are more exceptions than rules." Well, both the views have valid points. Let me share my opinion. When we learn our first language as a child, we don't learn the rules of grammar unless your mother or father is a school teacher. Our parents are not aware of the grammar concept. Still, we picked up the language we are speaking every day. How did we do that? I mean, an illiterate person is able to communicate well without knowing the grammar of his language. He is able to do it because he practiced the language constantly. When he made a mistake in his childhood, his mother corrected him without getting into grammar rules. Similarly, if you have an exposure to English language speakers around you, I mean, you can constantly practice with people the language you want to learn. You don't need to learn grammar at all. You are like a child learning a new language. However, if you don't live in an English speaking country where you lack practice, it's better to learn grammar concepts. Your learning process is faster. I mean, you know the rules of grammar but can't practice all the concepts with people because there aren't any people who speak the language. When you know the rules, you are able to understand a conversation in movies, in news reports, because you know grammar rules. Finally, what I'd like to suggest is that if you are beginning your English language learning journey and live in a non-English speaking country, it's a good idea to learn grammar. If it's an English speaking country, you may not be worried about grammar because you will learn sentence structures through real world experiences. But I still suggest learning a few simple grammar concepts will make your learning experience faster and more effective. Let me know what you think about grammar. Is it necessary or not? Thank you for watching. I'm your English teacher Suresh. Goodbye.